Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do my very first full makeup routine walkthrough. I'm going to be showing you every step that I take in my makeup routine, and I hope you find it helpful. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I hope you enjoy. The first thing I do, as always, is start off with my primer, my foundation primer. I'm going to be using the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. So I take just a really small amount and I work this in with my fingers. And I mainly concentrate on the areas that are oily. So for me, that's my nose, my chin, and my forehead. And then I spread around the rest of my face. Okay, so next is my foundation, and for that I use my favorite, the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation, and the color I'm using is Syracuse. What I do is I typically I shake it first, and then I dot a few foundation dots all over my face. And so this is really to cover every area, every major area of the face. And after I do that, I go in with my beauty blender and blend everything out. You want to remember to dab with the beauty blender. You're not swiping, you are dabbing, or a lot of people call it pouncing. You want to pounce the sponge on your face. I like a very natural coverage for my foundation, so I just do that one layer and then I'm good. But the Sheer Glow Foundation by NARS is definitely buildable, so if you feel like you need a little bit more coverage, you can definitely go in and add in a second layer. So next, onto my eyebrows. I always start by brushing the hair down. And then I go in with my Bella Pierre eyebrow pencil. Okay, and so next I move on to my eyeshadow, and I'll be using my Too Faced Shadow Insurance. And I just apply this with my finger. And I put this everywhere that I am going to put on eyeshadow. The first color I always start off with is my transition color, and for that I'm going to use my Sedona Lace EB13 transition or blending brush. And I'm going to go in with my Morphe 35F palette, and I'm going to use a combination of this shade and this shade for my transition color. And I go in right where my crease is, and I start doing this windshield wiper motion, going back and forth. And when I get to the end, the outer edge, I kind of just like flick it out a little bit. Same for the other eye. So when that's nice and blended and you feel like you don't have any more harsh lines, then I'm going to go in with my color for the lid, and that is going to be out of the same palette, and it's going to be this shade right here. It's a kind of like a gold, yeah, just like a gold shade. For this palette, I've noticed that there's some shades that the color goes on better when I apply with my finger, and this shade, the shimmery one, is definitely one of them. So I'm going to apply that with my finger. The transition shades that I just used over here on my crease were matte shades, so those go on a lot better with a brush. So that's why I used a brush for those. Okay, so for this, I'm just putting my finger in there, grabbing some color, and then patting it on. And this is right underneath the that natural fold that we have, so it's only the lid space. And I try to concentrate mainly around the middle of the lid space. I don't want to go all the way to the end, and I don't want to go all the way to the front. Once you feel you have the intensity that you want for the color, you can just move on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in with my blending brush and grab a little bit more of that transition shade, and then just blend this outer corner into that transition shade that I have. Next, I'm going to do my concealer, and I'm not done with my eye look, but I do have to do my concealer first in order to finish off the rest of the eye look. So for my concealer, I'm going to be using the NARS the Radiant Creamy Concealer in medium 2, which is ginger. I'm almost out. And I have a little bit of darkness towards my inner corner, so I go in there a little bit. Okay, and then I go in with my Beauty Blender again, same one, and then just blend that out. And again, I blend out by dabbing the sponge on my skin. The concealer I use is about a shade or 2 shades lighter than my skin tone, and I do that on purpose so that it highlights that under area. Okay, as soon as I'm done blending my under eye concealer, I go in with the Ben Nye Luxury Powder in Banana, and I use this to set my under eye concealer. So all I do is I put some on the lid, and then I grab a large fluffy brush, eyeshadow brush like this, and I slowly pat underneath and blend out at the same time. And you want to apply this everywhere that you just applied concealer. This sets the concealer and it prevents it from creasing throughout the day. I also feel like it smooths out that area and makes it look really flawless. And this one just has a slight pigmentation to it, so I feel like it adds coverage too. So next I want to finish off the eye look, and I'm going to use the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Powder, and this is in Champagne Pop. I'm just going to go in with a pointy brush and apply some of this in that inner corner to highlight the inner corner of the eye. Okay, after that is done, I typically don't wear eyeliner. What I will do is I'll use a dark eyeshadow, either a black or really dark brown eyeshadow, and line my under eye rim. So I'm going to go in with a really dark brown shadow from this Stila Mind palette that I have. And I'm going to be using this brown color right here. And I'm using a flat angled liner brush for that. Next, I'm going to go in with one of the transition shades that I used earlier and just go underneath the eye just to soften up the look a little bit. And I'm going to be using this shade right here. And I'm using it on a domed brush. This softens that line, that really dark liner that I just did. And it also just blends in the look, the under eye look, with the rest of the eyeshadow. Okay, so last for the eye look, I just have to put on some mascara. I feel like I probably make the funniest faces while I'm putting on mascara. So forgive me if I do. And the mascara I'm using is my favorite, which I've mentioned before, which is the L'Oreal Voluminous in Carbon Black. And then I also like to put just a little bit on the bottom. Just to add a little bit of definition. Cool. So that's it for the eye look. We can now move on to the rest of the face to finish it off. And for that, I'm going to be using the Tarte Amazonian Clay Smooth Operator Setting Powder. And I'm going to go in with a large, flat, fluffy brush and just set all of my face. And this will prolong your makeup wear. It'll let it last longer, but it's also a really great thing to do before you move on to a bronzer and blush, because it just gives you like a very clean surface to work with. So when you're putting the bronzer or you're contouring or blush, it doesn't go on blotchy and it goes on more evenly on the skin. Sometimes the foundation we wear, it grabs onto certain parts of our face more than others, and that's what causes the blotchiness sometimes. So I'm going to start off with, for the face, I'm going to start off with a little bit of contouring, and for that I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. And I typically only use like 1 or 2 of the shades. Right now I'm just going to be using this darkest shade. And I'm using a dual fiber brush. I'm just adding some to the very tips. And then going into the hollows of my cheek, which is right here. You can also find it by sucking in your cheeks. Right there. And it just adds a little bit of definition. It like carves out that area a little bit. Again, my makeup, I like it to look very natural, so I don't add too much color into everything that I put on. And if I ever feel like I did put on a little bit too much, I just keep blending until I feel like it looks exactly what I want it to. Okay, so next is blush, and I'm also using another Becca product, and this is the Champagne Split. It's Prosecco Pop and Pamplemousse. And these are the colors. I'm just going to be using the blush from here with an angled blush brush. Just smile a little bit. Same thing to the other side. And I'm gonna go back to the Becca Champagne Pop for my highlight, and I'll be using a dual fiber fan brush. And I love how that all just kind of like blends in together. Cool. And last but not least are the lips. For the lips, I'm going to be using a Smashbox product. And this is Stepping Out in their new liquid lipsticks. This is super pigmented. Love that. These are so pigmented, you really don't even need a lip liner with them. Alright guys, so that is my full face look. Sometimes I don't wear a lip color, or I'll just put on like a gloss, but everything else follows my normal everyday routine. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye.